Hey y'all, happy Friday. Sun peeked out behind the clouds for a little bit this afternoon. Had about a rain overnight last night. Thank goodness the roof's repaired. In the past it'd been about a 7 or 8 bucket night, I reckon. No, we just crossed the 3-year threshold of being back on this old home place, and this old plow just kind of reminded me of some things after the events of last night. But I showed up ready to do a little gardening, so that's all I had. And we broke up a little patch of ground over there and put a few things in. Always wanted to get this whole pasture in a garden. And I got my wish, but I sure didn't expect the flash flood that we got last night. All reports I can tell, we got about 5-6 inches of rain in a matter of 3 hours. And of course, topsoil is gone. I had a few peas up. That was okay. I did have to replant about 6 rows yesterday because the chickens have found a way to find those pea seeds. And unfortunately, there's the garden now. I guess the good Lord decided I didn't need to walk so far to the garden, and he thought he'd put it down there for me. Now I've been poking peas today, one by one, about 500 foot per row. And that's a lot of pea poking. But it don't matter, right? You know how you get all this put back in the ground? Thousands of feet of peas. You look at the next one, and then the next one. You don't try to worry about how overwhelming it might be. And lo and behold, I missed a row, so I got that to do. That's a little half row I'd planted. But we certainly did get a washout. But that's all right. It's all right. I came out this morning and posted in our little Washboard Musings group where we do a few just kind of candid videos, as if this isn't. But anyway, my first reaction to it, a few folks sending their condolences or sorrow that something like that had happened. But I knew it this morning when I looked at it and talked to my beautiful wildflower about it. Of course, she was upset and wanted to help, but she even suggested that the garden got moved on purpose. But you know what? Ain't a thing lost out here at all. Boy, how blessed are we? No need to be sorrowful or complain. There's people woke up this morning that found out they've got a new health journey ahead and doesn't look good. And maybe they're burying someone they love today or about to. Lost a job or whatever. So much we could complain about, and this isn't one of them. Not right here. No, sir. Made me realize how the farmers that do it for a sure enough living down on the Mississippi Delta and other places, they get a flood on 100 acres or so and lose their whole livelihood. Man, I can't quite relate to that, but I can see the heartache. That's something about nature, isn't it? We think we're so smart. We build houses on the beach and complain when the hurricane knocks them down. We'd had good sense when they'd understand we can't harness it. Just have to learn to live and work around it. But, I saw a documentary, and it was a little late. If this thing dies on me, y'all, I apologize. It's been acting up, but we'll try to get through it. Sissy's inspecting the mess. But no, it's about commercial farming and not tilling so much. And I guess we've always done it this way. Those that garden, you till it flat, get every piece of weed out of it, maybe do it 3 or 4 times before you plant, and then you just keep all the rows just mud and dirt. That's how I've always seen it done. I always thought that's how you do it. Of course, that's like that old ham story I shared that time about cutting off the end of the ham. Some of y'all may remember it. The crux of it was, basic point, family had done it for generations, not knowing why they did it. Come to find out it's because the first person that did it just didn't have a big enough pan to put it in, and that was the reason. This thought, it was a little late in the game for me to do it this year, but no sense in pulling the weeds out of the middle of the rows here where there's nothing planted, but that's what's holding the soil in place and pulling the carbon dioxide out of the air and all that business. And sure enough holds that dirt. Weeds ain't hurting nothing out of the row, so just mow it. Then you have a nice short turf to walk down and pick the peas. Of course, keep the weeds out of the peas, but not out of the middle of the rows. Then the next year you can rotate it. Makes a lot of sense to me, and sure does after seeing my garden all washed down yonder, right? I guess somebody had to really convince me different on that, because that weed don't pull that much moisture out of the ground as much as it holds it in there. But anyway, too late to try that this year. I may be mowing the rest of my weeds. I'm glad I didn't till them up yesterday when I was planting. I almost did. I said, no, I'm going to give it a shot. And sure enough, the only place the soil didn't move is where the weeds were. It held it in place. Isn't that something? Might change our thinking just a little bit. I'm reminded in the wake of this and how much of more of a nuisance than a trouble spot, to be honest with you. Sissy just can't get around what's happened to her garden. Her dry dirt she wallows in. The old boy had been hired by a farmer to kind of make amends on his old place. Of course, I'm the one doing that here, but and good hand. And he noticed one day the old man that he had hired had got there, and before we left for lunch, had a flat tire. Old saw quit on him, just having a bad day. Little things that piled up, kind of like when that car pulls out in front of you on the way to work, or get there just a little bit in heavy traffic, or maybe they didn't have the kind of coffee you wanted on the way to work that morning, and we let it set the tone for our whole day. Well, this old boy was having one of them days. Went to leave for the evening, and the old car wouldn't start. So the farmer gave him a lift home. Man sat in silence all the way home. You can tell he was aggravated, these setbacks. Got to the house, and he said, Farmer, why don't you come on in and meet my family real quick? It's the end of the week, and I'd like to introduce you to them. So as they walked toward the house, the carpenter paused for a minute at an old tree growing out in the yard. And he kind of put his hand up on it, leaned on it for a minute. And as he walked away and into the house to greet his kids and his wife and his family, a total transformation had taken place, and he was happy and full of smiles and just loving life. Couldn't have been a happier person out there. Farmer noticed this change in him and stayed a little while and had a cup of coffee with the family before he left. And as he was leaving, he said, Carpenter, I got to ask you, I noticed, touched that tree for a minute and everything changed on the way in. What's that about? He said, oh yeah, that's my trouble tree. He said, life happens every day. It sets us back, but I'm not bringing that home to my family and what matters. So I hang all my troubles on that tree every evening when I get home. And when I go back out the next morning, I pick up whatever's left. So you know what's funny, old farmer? When I come to pick up those problems the next day to carry them with me, usually not any there anymore. That's something. For me, that's the good Lord. Some folks may need a tree. However you do it, that's the principle of it. Didn't lose a whole lot other than dirt out here. The seed that washed away, even though it's rare to get this time of year, and we're going to come up short on a little bit of that. Wouldn't cost what you'd go out for dinner and spend more than it would cost to replace the seed out here if we could get it. But what hit me, and it's something that's really important. Learned a lot of lessons on this old place in the last 3-4 years because I paid attention to them, or I like to say I have. We lost time. Time. It takes about 60 days for those old peas to come up and make a pod for us to pick and get purple fingers on that front porch. Some of them will be done, but the majority of them will have to be replanted, and the clock resets. That's something we can't get back. And it hit me how funny that is in our life with everything. We're so rushed and trying to get to that next thing and letting all the little bitty stuff get under our craw that we waste the only commodity that we can't buy, can't replace, and we're only given a certain amount of it. Time. So that's the lesson I'm taking away from this old washout, and that's it. We'll be fine. And Sissy will be running deer out of these peas here in short order when things dry out a little bit. The goats are in, can you say hog heaven for a goat? No? I guess I did, huh? I went to work on trimming a lot of these limbs out, just low overhang, hitting the tractor and the trucks coming through here. So I got busy and there were piles and piles of it. And them goats like to graze on it. So they got kind of picky on me though. They want it hung up in the air. They won't eat it off the ground. So it's a little bit of a maintenance issue. I let them eat what they can and I have to reposition it. I don't know if I've got them trained or they got me trained. Wait a minute. I think they got me trained, don't they? I don't know where the little ones are. They've been eating their fair share of it. There's one of them. They're all doing fine. We got baby turkeys about to start hatching. Poor hen that I had, the one I had left out of that 30, she gave us about 15 eggs, I believe. I got tickled, one a day, so you know how many weeks that is. But caught her in there brooding. She is sitting on a nest of her own. Of course, the other ones would have been bad if she'd waited that long, but I guess she got tired of me taking them, and I've left her one to sit on. So maybe that'll get it out of her system. So we're looking for that. Baby chickens are hatching. It's just that time of year. And Sissy has found her a wallow. And I ain't gonna gripe at her. But all is well on the old place. And hope y'all have a fantastic weekend. I'll do a quick roll call. I was gonna do a video this evening, but I was scared it was gonna rain, and I pretty much talked myself out of doing a roll call. And my phone's been acting goofy, and we may lose it right in the middle of it. But guess I'll stand here and see who all's checking in today. Maybe you got a trouble tree that you use, in a manner of speaking. But that's what's important. Time and trouble trees and poking peas, right? We'll let y'all watch the goats eat. I would go in there, but this old goat of mine, DW, he's my buddy, but his kind of being a buddy is a little rougher than what I like. Isn't that right, buddy? Huh? You trying to eat? Here, hang on. Let me turn it around here. He is getting after it. Huh? You eating some leaves? You want some leaves, buddy? Look at them old horns that got long on him. And he will hook your leg in a minute, and then you both on the ground looking at each other. Ain't that right? That's what goats do, though, ain't it? There's one of the little ones. Oh, get up here. Hey, buddy. Their little horns already coming out. Hey, buddy. Oh, goodness. I don't know where Marshmallow's at. She's over there probably. Oh, there she is. Yeah, it's a little dark for me to turn it that way. She's over there. She's had her fill of leaves. I watched her a while ago. She cleaned out about 3 branches. So, let me see if you can see her. She is knocked out. There she is. You're resting. Everybody made it through the storm all right, except for the peas. And that corn, even though it's 6 inches high, boy, it did a number on it. It kept me up off and on all evening, but kind of glad I didn't get up, come out here and look. It'd probably really make me sick, seeing a river. But that's all right. At least we got some good topsoil down here for the grass to grow. I'm wondering how many peas I'm gonna have come up out down here. My cousin got on to me about planting the rows all crooked. Well, now I got an excuse, I think. I think maybe he'll let me off the hook. It's going to be an ugly pea patch, but we're going to let it grow. We're going to pick peas. That's how it's going to be. That's all right, ain't it? All right, let me do a quick roll call. I know I went to rambling again. See if I've got enough battery here. This thing, I can see folks watching, but it's sure not telling me who's talking. There we go. There's Mr. Ron May. How are you? Good to see you checking in. Dan says, let it go. Aggie said, rain and sometimes lack thereof. Or farmer rancher's life, no matter the acres. That's right. That is right. Let's see. Lots of rain. This thing's going quick. I mean, Houston, they needed it. Oh, I'm definitely not complaining. Sure ain't. Good evening from North Carolina. Susan Phipps says, dry North Carolina this evening. Sure could use some rain here. Well, I don't have any rain, but I got some extra topsoil. If you got a couple of buckets, you're welcome to it. My cousin thought he was going to be smart a little earlier and brought his skid steer by here and just trying to prove a point. He scooped up a big old bunch of it and just dumped it out there. I'm like, boy, that ain't going to do no good. You're messing up my new pea patch. We'll have some that we won't have to walk so far with. There's my good buddy Brian. Farm living is the life for me. Old Green Acres there. I guess that's what you're referencing. Good to see you on, buddy. All right, I think that's all the comments. I'm on a little early this evening, but I'll check them out as the evening progresses. But y'all be blessed. Have a good weekend. And thankful in all things, right? There's some trees right here. I don't need a tree to hang my troubles on, but guess I could. That one looks a little spindly. May not be able to handle it. Y'all be thankful. Be the light. Talk to you later.